Okay, and welcome to Wrestling. And this week we actually have a topic that was suggested to us by our listener, actually our co-host, Justin. Justin, how are you?
Not too bad. How's it going over there?
It's going pretty well in Colorado. But Justin has said for quite a while that we need to do an episode on Wrestling and XPW. Justin, what would make a man think that this would be an appropriate episode to have on this show?
Well, you know what? I kind of have soured on it in the last year or so, just because of the resurgence of it, if you will.
Yeah, but I think that adds to it because it gives us more to talk about.
But it's just one of those kind of things that, I used to consume 20-something years ago when the world was different.
So there's some nostalgia there? I mean, did you watch it on TV?
Yeah, it was that they had a weekly TV show.
So
and I used to watch it.
You watched that on KDOC? KDOC TV?
Something like that. Yeah, it was on one of those UHF channels. And, it was something where I would go to the actual office and buy the tickets when we went.
Oh, wow.
And all that. And it's something that has not aged well.
Not at all.
A way different time.
Not at all. Yes, it was a very different time, and we will talk about that, as we've talked about with the Attitude Era in the past. But this was a step beyond that, though.
Yes, quite a few steps beyond.
A long jump.
It's a different world since then, but it was something that was somewhat relevant here in Southern California, and developed some notoriety in kind of all of wrestling for a little while. Until it fizzled out. Kind
of an infamous type of knowledge of it. And really the large scope of the story is almost like, wanting to start a West Coast ECW and have it be as cool and as awesome and as influential as that. And I feel like we'll get to that where Rob Black, and you'll hear that name a lot, by the way, guys, Rob Black, Rob Zakari.
Yep.
You'll hear a lot about him, and it seems like the goal was just like, this dude saw ECW and was like, I can do that too. And we'll see how far he went to complete that goal. But before we get into all the XPW stuff, all that goodness or badness, you see anything cool lately, or is it just your team winning football?
I went to the Chargers-Dolphins game.
You went to that game, yeah, and it was a close game too, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I took Kenzo, my youngest son.
Was it mostly Dolphins fans?
It was.
Jeez.
It really was. It was crazy. And last year I took my older son because they came and played too, so I kind of switched off with him there. But so it's been, it's football season.
You got tickets reasonably, or, was it stupidly expensive?
I got us both in the building for less than $100. That was my goal.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so.
I don't know if that's possible in Denver. I'm trying to.
Probably not.
I don't think. The Chargers, though, and the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, the Rams would have been. The Rams probably wouldn't have happened with the Rams.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
Because the Chargers they have beautiful uniforms, don't get me wrong, and stuff like that, but they don't really have the history in LA that the Rams do, number one, and they just really haven't figured out their whole fan base out here.
I feel like even in San Diego, they have not built the history.
Well, they had a fan base there. The fan base was notorious.
What were they? Because I never think of, when I think of like most passionate football fans, the Chargers would never go into that.
Okay, I didn't finish my thought. They're notorious for selling tickets when the big teams come in town, like
I apologize.
The Steelers, the
Patriots,
Patriot, or any of those teams that travel well, I guess to a degree the Dolphins.
Teams that have
49ers,
national support.
The Raiders, the Cowboys. Like anytime the big teams come in, Charger fans are known to sell their tickets just to to make a little money.
Okay.
I mean, they have some good fans, but they played in a really shitty stadium down there.
Yeah, and now
that was in desperate need of an upgrade, and now they're
sharing
riding
one.
the coattails of the Rams.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, man, get over to a Chargers game and be one of the people that wants to see their team. Cool. They're cool with that. They will take your money. So that's cool that you got in there, and then another one tonight that leaves the Dolphins undefeated in 2 games, right?
Yeah, they held on tonight, so.
Cool, good stuff.
Playing Denver next week.
Oh, boy. Well, people know I'm from Colorado. Not a huge football fan, but, I like to pay attention to the Broncos, but that's pretty much all it's been for years. So, we'll see what happens. We'll put a friendly bet on it.
We'll see.
Yeah, speaking of Denver, The Rock actually showed up in Denver on Friday for SmackDown at a sold-out Ball Arena, formerly known as the Pepsi Center. I think that was a cool surprise, man. I wish I would have known about it. He hasn't been on TV since 2019 with WWE.
And it's, I thought it was even, was it that whole thing where he came by with the Rusev stuff and all that?
Was that it?
Backstage?
Oh, yeah.
I think so, unless there was a time before that.
It must have been because, so he didn't do any pandemic stuff, but yeah, he did the Rusev thing where he made fun of Lana and stuff like that. I thought this was better than that, by the way.
Since we ended our wrestling laps in 2014, I say The Rock's been on 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and I mean we kind of missed the whole WrestleMania, right? The 2 WrestleManias.
Yeah, the WrestleMania 31 or something when he came and had that match with Eric Rowan or something. Was it 30 or 31?
Well, I'm talking about the one with John Cena though. The John Cena match.
Oh yeah, that was
It was like one of the highest grossing WrestleManias of all time.
Yeah, we weren't fully.
No, I didn't even know that was going on, to be honest, which is kind of sad. But yeah, I mean, I
remember watching that Raw, and they're like set up the match a year ahead. And I was like, a year from now, like, come on,
And he got injured in both those matches pretty badly too. So
The Rock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He got fucked up on both those matches. And one of them was that, like, he had to start doing the Hercules movies soon after. So The thing I'm hearing now, like, if he wrestles again, like, he's going to have to, like, have a few months off.
Right. Well, that's something that's probably prevented. That guy never stops working, so.
Well,
it's hard.
You're right. Although I guess the talk was that, it was pretty for certain that it was going to be him and Roman Reigns, and the true tribal chief would come out. Now, I guess plans change, right? Cody threw a whole wrench in the thing, and
no, I mean, I think it just didn't work out. Like, actually, when The Rock was on, the college football thing in Boulder, a few days before SmackDown, he said we had it all good to go, but
I've heard other people say it wasn't as good to go as he said it was, though. But
well, okay, but I mean, whatever they hashed out, it didn't work out.
Okay,
so I don't know if Cody came after that or whatever, but
yeah, it could have been a lot of stuff. Although it was a pretty good WrestleMania this year. I mean, I mean, sure, we're gonna see The Rock lose to Roman Reigns eventually, maybe, but I don't know if that's gonna be in Philadelphia or in Nashville. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm down for one more Rock match. I mean, fuck it.
I mean, here's the thing. They're on strike right now, so he ain't working right now.
Oh, that's true.
I don't think unless he's hosting some kind of reality show or something, he's just as affected by this as all the other.
Yeah, I've actually seen whether it was John Cena or him, I think a few of those guys got some shit for that. But maybe I'm wrong. As long as they're not promoting their movie, I think is the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't. But there's no movies coming out.
Okay,
now. Is there?
This is gonna be so bad in like a year. Like it's not now. It's a year from now when it's gonna be like no movies come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it is. There's at least the middle of next year or something. By the holidays next year. Yeah.
We will get back
enough.
In reality TV. Netflix is going to have like a new Tiger King and all that shit.
There's probably enough in the pipeline to hit us till the middle of next year, but then after that, you're really gonna feel it.
Being an Angelino, I guess they are called. Have you seen any strikers?
Yeah, it's not for the last month or so. It's really calmed down, but yeah, because when I drive to work and stuff, I can, sometimes I drive by Netflix and
Well, we drove you
Paramount.
drove me by Paramount, I believe. I think you drove me. Is that the one in Beverly Hills or near Beverly Hills?
No.
What
those
was
are
that
all
one?
east.
I might be getting things mixed up then.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really near Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Oh, Fox Studios, maybe.
Fox, maybe.
It's on Pico.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure outside of Fox and Netflix and Sony, wherever that is, I'm sure that...
yeah, Warner Brothers, Disney.
Yeah.
In Burbank.
I wanted to go on a tour in Warner Brothers. They want to charge me like $100 for the VIP. I'm like, come on,
really?
bro. Like you guys make so much money. These tours, I didn't realize they're making cash from the tours too. Come on.
Yeah.
I want to see where the Animaniacs lived. So,
there's not a lot going on right now. With the picketing, they kind of calmed down off that. They're still doing it, I think, but they're just
they have certain spots,
out
I
as
think,
much.
that they,
Or times they do it for a couple hours a day.
yeah, I mean, come on, dude. We got to write stuff. We can't be picketing. Okay, just an interesting question. But yeah, The Rock did show up in Denver, my neck of the woods. I was not ready to go to this show, and so I didn't know The Rock was going to be there. Cena would not have gotten me there, but The Rock there. If I would have known in advance, I definitely would have gone. And also, the atmosphere looked great. I mean, the pop was huge, and it was unlike this one was unlike a lot of his other returns. I feel like this one was pretty special. So yeah, I mean, he didn't do a lot.
They could theoretically get him for Survivor Series. He's got nothing else to do. Maybe even to the Royal Rumble if they wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to want to do a match in Survivor Series, but if they could,
he can be on a traditional Survivor Series
match. Yeah, I still wonder though, like, if you're going to bring him back, do you want him to tag or do you really want him to go all the way? I don't know.
I think they want numbers right now, so they'll take anything they can get.
Speaking of The Rock, I watched one of his most famous promos the other day. You know where he does impressions of all the other guys? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I actually watched the match that was leading up to, which was a Hell in a Cell between him, The Undertaker, Triple H, who else? Rikishi. Do you know the match I'm talking about? And Rikishi gets thrown off the top of the cell into a truck.
I don't remember The Rock ever having a Hell in a Cell, let alone...
Was it just a cage match? I think it was Hell in a Cell.
Was it an Elimination Chamber?
No, it was Hell in a Cell because they all, like, a lot of them ended up on top of the cage. Rikishi got thrown off the cage. It was way, way, way overbooked. And oh, yeah, Kurt Angle won. Kurt Angle won because someone got a finisher, and then he just put his finger on top of them. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, in one. It was one of the most overbooked matches I've ever seen, but like it was pretty great. So I'll have to find that one. And I was like, wow. And Stone Cold was in it. It was like all the biggest. You should never put all those stars in one match. You know what I mean? It was so too much. But
it's the Royal Rumble or something.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I thought I would bring that up. So yeah, the other thing I wanted to touch on is my personal anxiety and paranoia. And I know this is not a counseling session, but, I find myself really worried about AEW recently. Mm-hmm. They did like a 2,200 advance for like John Moxley's hometown. They...
in Cincinnati?
Yeah, they sold half as many tickets as last year so far for the Wrestle Grand Slam. So now they got to do 2-for-1s. And
is that the
the
whole thing? No, was that what the whole Osprey tattoo thing was about?
Oh, I don't know about the Osprey tattoo thing. What's that?
I guess he did some. So I don't really understand it, but I guess he did some social media posts where he got a tattoo, and it's like his first tattoo, and it was like the attendance at All In, but it was like not accurate or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, because he put no, because look, I think that was the paid number, the paid ticket.
Right. But whatever. I thought it was. I didn't really understand the whole controversy behind it, but he took it down.
Okay, I see this now. That's kind of funny. I didn't realize all that stuff. I'm currently in Japan and I've had no sleep. I'm tired and I wake up. This is the worst day of my life. Do you know how hard it is for me to get a tattoo? My mom hates them. They announced it to everyone. They announced it was 81,000 people. Now I got this on my arm, Will Ospreay said. Dude, okay. That's more funny than anything. That's actually pretty funny.
We always know that Ospreay's a bit of a dipshit, so.
It's kind of funny. Okay.
He's the first one to tell you that, too.
Yeah, you might want to wait a little bit before getting that tattoo. That when all wrestling things are considered. Imagine like getting all the WWE figures tattooed on your arm. I mean, it's always going to be a lie, but it's wrestling, so no. But
yeah, it's part of it.
I'm kind of worried about this company. I guess I shouldn't be so much because Edge is probably going to be coming in soon, right?
Yeah, probably. But I mean, is that?
It's not guaranteed. No, because
he's not a huge
draw on Raw.
Yeah. I love Edge, but he's not a guy that's going to turn your company around at this age.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I know that they found lightning in a bottle with the Adam Cole thing, and obviously they have MJF, who is like, he's MJF.
He's a babyface right now.
He's doing awesome. Just he reminds me of Cena and The Rock in the sense that he is just one funny motherfucker. I'll tell you, dude. He's so funny, just like those guys. But that's another thought. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see what Tony Khan does. They are kind of in a rebuilding phase still, even though they just did All In. But it's like, America is the bread and butter.
I mean, they have I just don't think they've established any. Outside of MJF, they really haven't created their own stars.
Yeah. I mean, there was Cody. I mean, you have Kenny Omega and stuff like that. They didn't obviously create Kenny Omega.
Yeah, but he's only spent a very brief time there as the top guy.
As for his entire career, yes, it's been very brief. I'd say Hangman Page maybe, kind of
outside of the belt collector. Yeah, but they've never done anything to build him back up again.
I think Darby Allin is probably someone who's
put him in a big match. Put him in they're not putting these guys at the end of shows and stuff. Orange Cassidy's another guy. I bet you they can get some mainstream appeal with. He's so different and stuff, and a very likable guy. But they always put them in the middle of the card.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a wait and see thing, I guess. I mean, I watched the beginning of Collision. That was amazing. I think going with Bryan Danielson, they're going to have a really great run on Collision until he decides to shutter. Or if he gets injured, which would suck so bad. But I do think like the Danielson stuff is pretty great. I mean, did you get to see that strap match yet?
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah. It was good. And the tag match this Friday with Ricky was also really good. And they're going to do a Texas Death Match next week on Saturday.
No, their content has been fine when you're watching. It's just that like I don't.
That doesn't make for ratings though.
Yeah, even MJF isn't. I mean, he's been featured, but he's been paired with somebody, and he's almost been a shadow of his character.
I don't know lately. If I would say that. I think that, I mean, he is playing a baby face, right? I mean, it's different.
Has been somewhat muted to what he was 3 or 4, 6 months ago.
Yeah, but I do think when in his baby face form, like he will go hard if he feels like he's been threatened.
I just feel like they've put everything on the back burner in the presentation,
What do you mean everything on the back? Can you explain that a little more?
Well, okay, so outside of the MJF Adam Cole, but when you stick your guy in a tag story, that's not really a mainstream single story. That's like a side story almost. It's like,
well, yeah,
side
but I
quest.
mean, look at what happened with the Bloodline. That was tag stuff, and that was the hottest thing on the show until it became personal eventually. Which I think that's going to happen
Yeah,
here.
but there was title matches within that. Outside of Adam Cole, there hasn't been any title matches, right?
That's true. Yeah.
They
We
had
are
this
getting
thing where
Samoa.
they were going after tag titles together.
Well, we're getting Samoa Joe versus MJF.
That's cool.
I think that'll be cool. Yeah, but
Yeah, but
what does
no
that
one
draw
feels
people?
like Samoa Joe is going to win the title.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Like
and
if you cook up an Orange Cassidy to win a couple number one contender tournament and he wins it, and then all of a sudden you have that or Darby Allin or somebody, I think that would be. But at the same time, they don't have that. You wish you could just throw Kenny Omega out there to have a title match and sell.
Yeah, and I do understand about the back burner thing in the sense that, like, people have been complaining about the women's division for a long time and wondering, like, why doesn't Athena, where's Willow, stuff like that,
Right.
where these other women are being featured. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. And you have a guy that's booking 4 shows, 4 shows a week.
He needs help, man. I think anyone that's being laid off by WWE right now, he needs to be interviewing, whether it's a marketing person or he needs to be looking at that list of people and seeing who he can pick and choose to work for him, because I just feel like he needs help.
Well, I've heard that Danielson has become his second-hand man, but at the same time, he's not going to be around forever, and he's a wrestler. I mean,
but he needs like a table of 3 or 4 people.
Yeah,
and
I thought that's what Will Washington was kind of supposed to do.
Who's that? Will Washington.
Will Washington was a podcaster that they hired. And what did they hire him as? Like some role. He was part of Fightful, but his thing is that he's known as having a ridiculously good memory, and he can remember everything. They signed him as administration coordinator, so basically that means nothing. But he's doing with live events, social, creative, PR. Basically, he's an all-around type of guy.
I mean, that's the guy we thought William Regal was going to be.
Yeah, until he left the company after a few months.
Yeah.
So, but I think Will Washington was supposed to be someone who helps with that type of stuff. We'll see, man. I guess we'll just see. We know the pay-per-views are good, but that's not enough. So
no, there's just not. It's just lacking. Doesn't feel like there's a main focus,
And I still think Dynamite and Collision are 2 of the best shows a week. Collision is so good, especially the opening. I don't know what era of wrestling this comes from, but like all the wrestlers do their promos in the first 5 minutes of the show under this really intense music.
It reminds me of those old promos they would do with the Royal Rumble. Like, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, and they would just do them one after another.
Yeah.
Leading up into the old 90s Royal Rumble.
And some really cool, intense music in the background. I love that. The presentation's great. One of my favorite things to watch every week as far as wrestling, but that just because I like it, that don't mean shit, I mean...
Yeah, it's also on Saturday, so...
It's also on Saturday. Although the ratings have not been that bad since college football started again, but wait until we get into, these huge games that everyone watches. And then Monday Night Football on... we're talking NFL, of course. It did 22 million views when the Jets played? My God, dude.
With the Aaron Rodgers thing, yeah, it did.
You watch wrestling and you got to remember, we're like the fucking 12th most popular sport. So
now, yeah, I mean, they gave Monday Night Football a run in the 90s, but not now.
No, not anymore. Raw did pretty bad for what they're used to doing. So football, it's like, you want to know what the cool shit is? Go watch football. That's the cool shit, man. So.
Well, and now that there's gambling so heavily involved in fantasy football, there's just so many different
avenues to
now.
Oh yeah, truly an American institution. So yeah, there's that. WWE is with TKO. I think we'll have more to talk about that when things happen. I don't really have a lot to say at this very minute about.
Yeah, I mean, outside of WWE having their, some people laid off.
Some people in the office. I heard there would be more wrestlers today, but I didn't hear any news of that.
I heard that they weren't going to do much with wrestlers just yet.
Okay.
But who knows?
Guy named Jamie Horowitz, who was let go.
But I mean, the thing is that the only thing they can't, the people they're getting rid of are stuff that Endeavor already offers with marketing people and.
And that's what I
those
figured.
kind of things where they're being duplicated within that existing company.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any pro wrestlers that work for, UFC that they're just gonna say, oh well, this guy does that and let go of Dolph Ziggler or something. I don't think they're gonna do that just yet. If they're ever gonna
Dolph Ziggler,
I'm just thinking of some random person.
That's a good example.
But if they get rid of wrestlers, that's when they'll probably be in true kind of cost cutting mode.
Yeah, it's going to be weird when you see wrestlers and MMA fighters cut at the same time. Hopefully that never happens. So yeah, that did happen, and we'll have more to talk about that as time goes on, or we won't, and things will be just the same, and I'd be okay with that, but I think Vince has more power all of a sudden now. Is that?
For now at least. I could see that.
I think he's the final say. He is back to being the final say in WWE.
I know he was before this.
Well, until he quit for a tiny bit.
Yeah,
but
that was insane.
Or did he? Or did he?
No.
Yeah, we don't know. Okay, so that's that. That's kind of what's going on in side news here. Now let's get into the meat of it. Speaking of meat, I am going to make a meatloaf after this. I got all the ingredients ready. Haven't had meatloaf in years, and I need a meatloaf. So,
all right, go for it.
We'll see it. XPW, right? Which stands for
Extreme Pro Wrestling. Right?
It's like the most obvious. Speaking of that, we were saying that this was on KDOC TV. You're lucky that you do live in that area because our local channels sucked in Colorado. And I'm sure but in LA, you've got some cult shit that was on those channels, right? You had
we had some public access stuff back in the day that was pretty entertaining. But
what about the lady who dances and stuff? Like, wasn't that like public? She's like become a legend, hasn't she? She would dance with a corpse.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
So KDOC, was that not public access? Was that not what was XPW was on?
It was like UHF. Like once you got past the main channels and you had good enough rabbit ears or whatever, you could get like channel 56 or something like that.
Oh, and it was local, right?
Yeah.
I saw one of the announcers for XPW, Chris Class.
Chris Class, yeah.
And he was on this Wally talk show from the late 90s, this old dude.
Oh, Wally George.
Yeah, Wally George. There you go.
Wally George was like this conservative talk show host.
It's kind of flamboyant, too, for...
Yeah, it was... And he had a show in the 80s and 90s. I remember that coming on because I would watch roller derby either before or after that. I don't remember when it came on. But he was always either followed by or had roller derby on.
Roller derby was pretty sick, actually.
Wally George is the father of Rebecca De Mornay, the actress.
Okay, with the trivia. The actress no one knows.
And a funny kind of question, kind of trivia about Chris Kloss. Chris Kloss was...
This was XPW's announcer, by the way, their main announcer.
Yes.
Their Joey Styles.
A very good announcer, actually. So he was good. He was pretty good. He was in a junior college class with me.
Really?
Like a cinema class or something. Yeah, this is like when XPW was starting to get kind of going. And I remember seeing this guy come to class, and he was always kind of, it seemed like scouting some of the girls or whatever.
Oh boy, to be in his films.
No, not to be in his. He didn't do any of the film stuff actually.
Okay,
he was just the announcer. He was probably around that stuff. Doesn't mean he was. I don't think he was really.
He wasn't producing it.
He's actually. He had a YouTube series going for a while the last couple of years where he interviewed a bunch of people about XPW.
Okay.
Which was pretty interesting.
He claims to be a voice actor, movie type of guy.
I think he's like an auctioneer now.
That would make sense.
And he's actually still around wrestling here and there. Like, he'll go to some... There's a school called MTPW out in the valley out here that they do some, like, they run shows like every Friday or whatever, and he tends to go to those and stuff like that. So he still has some kind of connection to everything.
Okay.
And I don't know if he was doing any of the new XPW stuff.
Yeah,
he might have done the first show or two, but I hope he's not affiliated with that stuff.
I don't think a lot of us know much about the brand new XPW, right?
Right.
Okay, just making sure, because I don't know much about it, and I didn't even write a whole lot about it. So we'll see where we get to that. So first of all, before we talk about anyone else, we have to talk about Rob Zakari, right?
Rob Black, yes.
Rob Zakari. So this is an East Coast guy. He was from Rochester, New York. He's got kind of an East Coast flair about him, in my opinion, but he didn't do this in the East Coast. So he is 49 years old today, okay? Like right now. And if you think about that...
Oh, he's older than that.
He's 49, yeah. And he got his start doing porn. So he started in the mid-90s directing porn. And I want you to think about this to the listeners. That means that he was directing porn before he was 21, okay? So, like, I already don't like if I have a boss that's that young. Imagine, like, doing porn and being told... Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation. In 1998, he started the company Extreme Associates, which did some pretty bad stuff. So I'm not going to describe everything in detail, but Extreme Associates was known for pushing the limits of pornography because, Justin, those needed to be pushed at the time.
It was, yeah, I mean...
There was a scene where there was a simulation of a disabled person being R-worded.
Yeah, there was a lot of kind of, I don't know if fetish is the right word, but just like
lots of
extreme things.
Lots of
no pun intended.
Rape content, basically, is what I'm going to say there. Which actually got him in legal trouble because, believe it or not, there is a limit to that. We'll get into that, and his legal trouble too, Justin.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm. We'll get to that in a second. I'm sure.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first ever event was at the Reseda Country Club. Now, Justin, I was thinking, why would they let this man into a country club? Until I realized the Reseda Country Club is a venue near Sherman Way and Reseda Boulevard.
It's about a block from where they used to run PWG.
Really?
In Reseda. Yeah, it's about a little bit, I would say about a block away. Really, really close. And it's just a little venue. I think it's a church now.
A couple of the places we talk about tonight will be churches nowadays. Had you gotten to go to it? Had you been there?
I never went to the Reseda Country Club, no. They were probably still, I didn't make, when I saw XPW, it was at the Grand Olympic Auditorium, and then another place.
Which we'll get into. Reseda Country Club, also known for having a lot of big acts that came through there. REM, other groups. So, looks like a cool place back in the day. You could go watch some wrestling there. And again, that's Sherman Way and Reseda, and that's in Reseda, Justin.
Yeah, Reseda.
Now, is that
Reseda,
north past the mountains, or is that?
It's in the I want to say like the mid San Fernando Valley.
Okay. It's in San Fernando
So,
Valley, in the valley.
yeah, yes.
Okay, if you know, you know. So
Yeah.
that was 99, their first ever event. So in 2000, then we're getting straight into this. So why don't we just say this? Heat Wave. We've talked about it on the show before, but we'll talk about it a little bit more. You were there.
I was at Heat Wave 2000 in the Olympic Auditorium.
Real quick before we move on to this, talk about the Olympic Auditorium in relation to wrestling.
The Olympic Auditorium is probably one of the most infamous buildings in pro wrestling, boxing history, to be honest, especially on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it was built in like the 30s for like the 32 Olympics when they had it in LA. And, you know, all the, you know, LA territory stuff would go through there with, you know, the Guerreros and,
I'm thinking like Gorgeous
you know,
George.
Blassie,
yeah, from the 50s. Stuff like that.
Yeah. All the way up to Piper.
Dick,
and all that stuff.
Dick Bear, the Destroyer. I'm sure he came through there.
Yeah.
Probably
so
some Japanese guys too from Japan coming through there.
It was the Cow Palace and the Olympic on the West Coast.
It was a Cow Palace of the of SoCal, because I mean,
right. Well, I was just saying for the West Coast, it was the Cow Palace and the Olympic.
Yeah, really famous arena. I didn't realize this until I was doing this, because it's a little different now. Where's AEW going? The Forum, right?
The Forum, the Forum in Inglewood, right next to SoFi Stadium. Yeah.
Are there any venues of that size still that have any kind of respect, or are they just places like Ukrainian Cultural Center and stuff like that? I mean, this was a once in a kind of time venue, right?
Well, I mean, the arenas that we have outside of Staples Center, the Forum, they're building a new Clippers arena.
Okay.
On the other side of SoFi Stadium.
Oh.
So maybe that's something that AEW will run eventually.
Yeah. But I mean, this
other outside of where UCLA and USC play.
Yeah, and yeah. So this was a very historical building, which makes it sad that it had to be sullied in such a way. So you were at Heatwave. You saw Just Incredible beat Sandman in a Stairway to Hell match. Do you even remember this?
I remember the Jerry Lynn and Steve Corino match.
Yeah, and then Tajiri won a 4-way, and
Tajiri won. Rob Van Dam had a good match, a singles match against. Was it?
So the show got a thumbs in the middle from the fans, by the way, as far as reviewers afterwards go. But what happened in this show, that is the thing, is that Rob Black, Zakari, we'll call him Rob Black from now on, because he needed a more extreme name, right?
Right.
Yeah. So in 2000, Black purchased multiple front row tickets to ECW Heatwave. All I have written here is nonsense ensued. What happened?
I mean, you get various accounts of it, but basically he had some of the bigger talents. And don't get me wrong, XPW had some pretty talented guys.
Well, a lot of ECW guys went to XPW after ECW folded.
A lot of ECW guys went there. But there were some kind of homegrown guys that were there as
some
well,
of them were
SoCal
pretty big
guys.
dudes, and I mean physically.
Yeah, they were. But basically the intention was, from what I understand, was to get those front row tickets and to wear XPW shirts in the front row and gain some attention for their product.
That's not what happened, though.
But that's not what happened. I think at some point they were told not to wear them, and at some point, some type of,
altercation,
scuffle ensued. All that carried all the way out to the parking lot. So, and whatever happens in between there is told 100 different ways by 100 different people. So
I had heard that some of the XPW non-wrestlers got their asses beat.
Yeah, I mean, probably when you had wrestlers going against non-wrestlers, that's what's going to happen. But I remember there just being a pretty big kind of to-do going on in the crowd down there. I had no idea what it was at the time.
How far away were you from it?
We were in the upper level, so
you just saw kind of something going down, not sure what it was, and also you're younger.
Yeah, well, I was 18.
Still, your
19.
brain was not fully developed.
But I remember, I don't think I was aware of what XPW was. Maybe we saw the flyers.
That was my next question. So
yeah, I didn't realize what XPW was until around this time. Maybe that event is what kind of drew the attention. So I guess job well done there, because it got me interested around that time, and ended up taking in some of it.
Well, I'll repeat Wikipedia here. 6 wrestlers from XPW who were given front row tickets by Rob Black donned the shirts of the promotion, just like you said. It's caught the attention of Tommy Dreamer and ECW security and were ejected. A brawl in the parking lot between XPW ring crew and ECW locker room followed, based on false reporting that Francine had been touched by someone from XPW. This was followed by Justin Credible defending the championship against Tommy Dreamer in a Stairway to Hell match. Yeah, George turned on Dreamer by hugging Francine. Okay, all that stuff. But,
right.
Yeah, who knows what happened in the parking lot. But they tried to get some notoriety. They tried to get on the bigger guys' TV and make some kind of...
Well, there was also, at some point, there was a relationship between Rob Black and Paul Heyman.
Really?
That, yeah, at some point went awry. And I don't remember the details, but there was some type of relationship that they had for a while that kind of went awry, which led to this.
Wow. I have a strong feeling this was much more on the part of Rob Black as it going awry. I mean, look, from what I know, this Rob Black guy seems like the type of dude that if you don't call him back, then the relationship has gone awry. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't love this Rob Black guy just because of some of his content. I don't know if the wrestling stuff, maybe it was good, maybe it was bad, but not being a huge fan of deathmatch wrestling and hearing some of the porn that he made, pretty bothersome, dude.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was just, Heyman was at his peak of being full of shit around this time, too. So I could see something, and I'm not really going to...
When he wasn't paying guys?
Too much. I'm not going to... Right. I'm not going to be defending Rob Black too much tonight.
Yeah.
Tell you that much. But I could see where maybe Rob Black was misled by him or whatever. And
those things happen in wrestling a lot, right? And like you're saying, this was at the time when Paul Heyman was having trouble paying guys. He was getting in trouble. So.
Yeah, I forget what the exact kind of deal they had going was or whatever. Maybe it was sharing talent or whatever. But at some point it went awry.
There was a communication breakdown.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention Larry Rivera. Do you remember Larry Rivera?
Larry Rivera was great, too.
So it sounds like he was a heel commentator, color commentator, and would sometimes, I guess, slip into full Spanish.
He is a guy that, I believe he was Cuban-American.
Yeah.
Did not have an accent when you just talked to him on the street or whatever. As a matter of fact, I think he was at the GCW show I went to. He was there just taking it in.
Oh.
But when he would do his Larry Rivera character, he was in the full Hispanic accent and all that.
Really? And he could speak Spanish fluently. So.
Yeah. Him and Chris Koss were a pretty good duo, actually.
Good. That's good to hear because when I first heard about this Chris Koss guy, he sounded a bit of a ripoff of Joey Styles. Now, he had his catchphrase, which was cursing, right? Like cursing loudly.
Or he would say stuff like shady activity or I don't remember him cursing at all.
Okay.
But he was a pretty good announcer. I enjoyed especially him and Larry Rivera going back and forth.
You enjoyed their chemistry.
Yes.
Well, go back and watch some of that, guys. Go check out some Larry Rivera and Chris Kloss, who are with us today still.
Yes.
So that happened at Heat Wave. Nonsense ensued. July 22. In July 22, 2000, XPW. This a lot of people said this was like one of the peaks of XPW. At the Memorial Sports Arena, they had Sabu beat Terry Funk. And a lot of people that July 22, that's a lot. Again, many consider this the peak of XPW. So not lasting super long. We're talking like a year in, 2 years in, and they're hitting their artistic peak.
No, I would say their peak was from probably, late 2000 into 2001.
Okay.
That's when I was going to a bunch of the shows at the Olympic, and they had guys like Shane Douglas and Sabu.
Yep, and we got all that. We're about to get right into that.
Yeah,
that they had that Sabu beat Terry Funk, R.I.P. also. And after that, so these guys weren't having weekly shows. They were, after July 22nd, they didn't have another show for 4 months. And this is sad for you, but they in that 4 months between July and November, they tried to get.
Is that when?
Huh?
When they had the infamous Vic Grimes New Jack off the scaffold.
Well, we're gonna get to that too. But they tried to get Atsushi Onita into XPW and do an exploding death match, but they were never able to make that happen. So
yeah. I think him and Sabu, they wanted to do it.
Yeah,
and it just never worked out.
So in 2001, we have the heel stable, the Black Army, right?
Yeah.
So we have Lizzie Borden here. Now this is someone who we haven't talked about either. Lizzie Borden, which I don't know what the thing is here. I don't know. I've heard a sex joke about Lizzie Borden, and I don't know if that's it or if she's just like vicious. But she was a porn star.
Lizzie Borden was Rob Black's wife,
but also a porn star.
Yes.
I saw I actually checked out some of her material.
Okay, you did your research.
It's pretty good stuff. Actually, I didn't, guys. So please don't get on me for that. XPW's top star was the Messiah. And
Messiah.
He feuded with Sabu. What's with this Messiah? A big guy, small guy? What is it? What is he?
Just normal size guy. He wore like a black T-shirt and black pants.
This wasn't like a Muslim kind of wrestler?
No, he was kind of supposed to be like. I remember some of the vignettes they do with him, where it was kind of like a Jesus Christ kind of thing in a way. But he would just come out in a black T-shirt and black pants because they were trying to hide him being kind of skinny.
Oh, I see.
But he had some charisma. He was pretty good. If I remember correctly.
You remember when I say you're kind of reminding me of Brain Damage, but I don't think they were the same. But I sent you that match between Moxley and Brain Damage.
Yeah, something like that.
But just a very generic. He wore like a T-shirt. And pants.
I mean, if you Google the Messiah XPW,
let's do it.
You'll see
the Messiah XPW. Let's see, because okay. Yeah. Okay. Good looking guy, right?
Good looking guy. Yeah. And if you see him with Rob Black, not an overly intimidating presence, but
definitely with that early 2000s goatee and gelled up hairstyle for sure. And this is not the Messiah Seth Rollins, by the way. People.
No, that was the Monday Messiah.
That was the Monday Night Messiah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got what you're saying. I was hoping he would have like a hood and like a cool,
No, it was nothing like that. But they did have some kind of weird.
He was just a guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he feuded with Sabu. Looked a little young for the time, too. I don't know.
Well,
looked a
he
little
was born
young.
in 1977, so he's only 45 now. So
Yeah. Okay.
he
So
was
at the
very
time,
young.
yeah. Also, throughout most of 2001, another heel stable called the Enterprise emerged and would eventually feud with the Black Army the following year. Originally consisting of Steve Rizzono. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, Steve Rizzono. Yeah,
Rizzono. Motivational speaker
Yes.
TJ Rush. Porn star Veronica Kane. And GQ Money. And the stable became fully formed at the Damage Inc. event when Kid Chaos won the newly created XPW.
You know who was GQ Money went on to be somebody that worked for XPW. No, I'm sorry, NXT.
Really?
So his name is Ryan. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm trying to
tell
figure
you
it
right
out
now.
too. Ryan Katz.
Ryan Katz, and he went on to be like kind of a big time, not big time, but he was a producer over at NXT.
He still works there. It looks
he's still.
like.
I guess I think he got laid off for a time and then got taken back.
Oh,
But,
okay. He was in the
so
he was in the video with Kane and Daniel Bryan with the whole no, and when they were doing counseling and stuff.
There you go. So he was he works for WWE, Ryan Katz. And Steve Rizzono was kind of a big guy, and he kind of fizzled out after that.
Yeah.
I think he didn't do much after that. There was one guy that we'll get to, and I'll tell you that I thought this guy was going to be a huge star.
Okay, we'll see. We'll make sure we get to him. So we had the Kid Chaos after the surprise heel turn.
That's who I thought
Kid
was
Chaos. Kid Chaos.
Kid Chaos.
The
is
Rock
guy that
superstar Chaos.
Yeah, I thought. You know what? He might be from your neck of the woods, dude.
Joey Munoz, I think.
Yeah, he actually runs the Santino Brothers school out here, where like Bateman went to, and I believe Brody King.
Okay. Yeah, I see him. I don't know about his.
Born
I
in Colorado Springs in 1979.
Shit. Okay. He was probably wrestling here when no one watched wrestling here, or moved immediately.
Or he just moved to LA when he was 6 years old. Who
that's
knows?
probably
But he's from Colorado Springs.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of crazy. Joey Munoz
And-
still. Let's see. Okay, wrestling. Yeah,
training.
Santino Brothers, like you said. Okay.
Yeah, and he's a guy like if you look at he looked like he had he could have made it in WWE.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of charisma. He was a good promo, and he was fun. He was their best wrestler, I think.
Well, Adam Pearce says that it's a good school. So.
Yeah, no, it's legit. They put a lot of they've if you look at their roster and people that have been affiliated with it, they've created some good ones.
Kid Chaos. Okay, cool. For a year from April to April 01 to April 02, XPW ran events at the Grand Olympic Auditorium. Notable events during this period included Genocide, which was a war game style match, and Free Fall, which had a 40-foot scaffold match between Vic Grimes and New Jack. So,
Right.
this was the incident?
Yes.
So I always thought that this is a mass transit incident, or
No. Huh?
okay,
No,
I'm
mass
getting
transit-
things. I'm getting things super confused because
Mass Transit was with ECW when this guy that was 17 years old got into a match with
okay,
New Jack.
yes. What is this incident?
And this is where Vic Grimes basically got thrown off about a 40-foot scaffold
Oh my
and hit
god!
and almost died. I'm sure you could find the clip.
I'm
and
looking now.
there
Vic
building
New
up to
Jack
it, there
chucks
was-
Vic Grime off scaffold. It's called.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a 1-minute video. Let's see here.
Yeah, watch
And
that.
this wasn't okay. Okay, this dude's way too big to get thrown off anything. Okay, hang on. Oh no! Oh, he missed. Oh, he missed. Yeah, that was absolutely horrible, dude. I seen the guy hit a table, and then I saw his body like slingshot from the ropes. He kind of missed, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay, so that match ended immediately.
That he missed. It ended after that, I think. Yeah, but Vic Grimes almost freaking, died. But there was some
This dude
build-up
was
to that
way too big to be thrown off of anything.
New Jack got pissed at him for some reason and decided he was going to throw him off the cage or whatever.
Yeah, but he jumped. He jumped. Yeah. He didn't have to say okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, go watch that, guys, if you want to cringe.
And Vic Grimes, huge guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I saw, I would assume he was a smaller guy, and I didn't realize he's like even bigger than New Jack. Pretty heavy guy too.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can't imagine the physical force that
he
came down upon that ring.
6'4", 300 pounds. Oh
my God!
Yeah, he was about 6'4", 300 pounds. And you can also they had a XPW episode of on Dark Side of the Ring that kind of covered that.
And how was that? Was it a good episode for our listeners to go watch? Justin, are you there? I lost you. Is it me?
Oh,
hang on.
For some reason, I don't hear you anymore.
You can't hear me?
Maybe because I turned down my sound. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, the problem is I have the video up. I got to turn off.
Oh,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. No, I watched that video. Wow, that was wild. Yeah, he's way too big for that. So, guys, go check that one out. Vic Grimes being murdered. Just Google that.
Yeah, Vic Grimes is the guy that was in ECW too at some point, I believe. And,
did he ever wrestle again?
Yeah, he did. He wrestled in XPW again, actually.
Good for him. Good for him. As long as he doesn't take anything like that. Many big names debuted in XPW during this 2001 to 2002 time, such as Vampiro, Conan, The Sandman, Psychosis, and the best wrestlers in the world at the time, the Insane Clown Posse. Did you ever see the Insane Clown Posse live?
Yeah, I believe I did see them once at one of the shows I went to, yeah.
I've met them. I've met them live. Shook their hands.
And thus concludes. Our
you know, I will. Hey, I'll say this about the ICP though. They are wrestler-sized people. Like they're as big as wrestlers, and that was shocking to me. They're both like huge. I remember them being huge.
I don't remember them being small, so
I thought that would be my size, bro. Anyway,
I mean, one of them was a really big guy. The other one was just, probably 6 feet tall or something. I don't
know. I'm sure they were both in their sixes, but I could be wrong, and I don't want to look it up. At XPW's third anniversary event, Night of Champions in July 2002, Shane Douglas made the return to XPW as the mystery opponent Johnny Webb. So him making himself kind of a former ECW face of the company at that point.
White Trash Johnny Webb. I remember him.
Is that what he was known as?
Yeah, he was pretty good. He had some charisma to him. Let's see if you do a little image search of White Trash Johnny Webb. He was pretty good.
Not as good as Shane Douglas.
I remember in one, I went to this Damage Inc. pay-per-view. Yeah. And Johnny Webb served as like a, impersonating Rob Black. Because I think the main event was Johnny Webb and Rob Black versus Sabu and what's his name, that producer guy. I can't remember his name now. Lazy. Something like
I'm trying to find Johnny Webb right now, but it's I'm finding Jimmy Webb. Damage Inc. Here, I found the DVD.
Yeah.
Damage Inc.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. One match, one winner. XPW will never be the same. Lots of dreads, it looks like, at that time, too.
Well, Rob Black had dreads at that time.
Oh, of course he did. Of course he did.
I was at this show.
Let's see. So, matches. The event also see the third King of Deathmatch tournament. Matches from which got released on home video as Baptized in Blood 3. Now, Ed, did you rent these videos? Or did you ever get a chance to see them?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
DVD was coming out around that time too.
Yeah, I don't remember if I watched. We might have at the video game store I'm working at watched some tapes, but I don't recall.
Okay.
I just remember watching the weekly TV show on the regular and attending probably about 4 or 5 events
with your buddies.
Yes.
Shane Douglas would work as a performer and booker for XPW. And under Douglas' influence, the promotion would move its operations from West Coast to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, basing itself at the former ECW arena. So they moved.
At some point, they started doing stuff on the East Coast. I was going to show you something. I don't know if I have it handy. I think I've shown you before. I have a picture.
Did you find it?
Yeah. Well, I have the picture of it on my phone.
Yeah. And what is this exactly? Yeah. What are you showing me, Justin?
It's Johnny Webb laying down in the ring with looks like a trash can laid out over him.
From Homeless Jimmy?
Homeless Jimmy, sorry. And New Jack hitting him with a crutch.
Wow. That's cool. From those old disposables where you have to click it. Crit, crit, crit.
Yeah.
No one will never learn.
It's probably the one legit photo I had on there.
Then you have to bring it to the Walgreens.
Yeah, or the CVS or
CVS, whatever. Walgreens, Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a couple hours. Yeah. Wow. That's a cool one. Do you have other wrestling pictures of that age?
That's the only one I got. I don't know why that survives, but that's the only one I have. I'm sure there was others on there, but I don't know.
It's a cool one, bro. I like it.
Yeah. Circa 2001, 2002, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Moving on, they did kind of do stuff XPW starting at ECW Arena on August 31st, 2002. Kind of the beginning of the end in a way. Hostile Takeover. And Shane Douglas did become the focal point of the promotion. This is one of those, like, the bookers kind of starting to become the champion type of thing, I feel like.
No, Rob Black was still heavily involved in booking it.
Okay. Controversy arose when XPW signed an exclusive lease with the ECW arena, preventing other independent promotions from holding events there. Did you know that had happened?
I know there was something to do with that, yeah. Because I remember there was a time where, we were going to these shows and it felt like they were just going to go to the East Coast and stay there. But that could have just been Rob Black being a dick and being let heel.
Well, as XPW continued on the East Coast, the risque storylines were phased out almost immediately, and a majority of the West Coast staff were not part of the East Coast all-new XPW. The relocation of the East Coast also resulted in a lot more former ECW stars passing through, whether it be regularly or one-night appearance. So this was a huge change in the sense that, look, a lot of their guys from the West Coast, they're saying, fuck you. And email,
that's pretty much what happened, yeah.
Email was a thing back in 2003. In fact, texting was starting around that time. So, I mean, it's not like you couldn't communicate, but I don't know what happened there. That would take an interview, maybe, to understand if there was bad blood or if it was just a location thing.
Yeah, I don't know the details of that. I mean, I'm sure with a little more research, we could have figured that out for sure.
And were you still watching at this time, 2002? I don't remember your full story on your. I know when you started, but forget when you stopped.
I remember I had a girlfriend at the time who I dragged to one of these shows.
Okay,
God, that was terrible. It was a bad idea.
Nowadays, it's a better idea, but XPW not the best place to bring women. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think by 2001, 2002, by the time 2001 kind of came around, that's when I started working at the newspaper at the end of that year, and I kind of just phased out by just working nights and working Saturday nights, so I wouldn't have been able to go to these shows.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what happened, and I was just watching Raw and SmackDown again, for the next
going
years.
back to the old basics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were buying
business,
WCW soon or around then, and I remember
That whole
someone
time of
telling
my
me.
life is such a blur.
Yeah, kind of for
es-
me too. That time it was like late middle school, early high school for me. I mean,
right.
and you were what, right, fresh out of high school, right? In
I
your
was, 20, 21, 19, 20, 21.
that age, yeah, those can go
Yeah.
by pretty quick, bro. Especially since a lot of people are having a lot of fun at that time in their life too. So XPW, yeah, they did a few events in 2003. They had held an event on March 8th, 2003, which had 1,500 people in attendance. Mainly
Where
because it
where
was
was
shamed in Pittsburgh,
Oh, in Pittsburgh.
mainly
Okay.
which is quite a ways away from Philadelphia, actually. Because it's Shane Douglas's hometown, and that was XPW's very last event at that time. There was a event scheduled for April 2003, but it was canceled. Tickets for the 2003 event were reported to be selling very badly, and XPW said that they were canceling the event due to a storm.
Mm.
So when they did go to the East Coast, a little they lost a lot of what they had before, but only made worse by this nail in the coffin, which was that in April, Rob Black and Lizzie Borden were indicted on obscenity charges due to pornographic material produced by XPW's parent company. So XPW wasn't even in its own company, dude. It was run by the porn company.
Extreme Associates, if I remember correctly.
Extreme Associates,
But it
yes.
was still Rob Black's company, though. But
Yes, but
now,
XPW is not a separate entity, it looks like.
well, it was a subsidiary.
It was a
Like
subsidiary, yeah.
yeah. So XPW was a subsidiary of the actual video and movie company.
That sucks for
But
what would
well,
happen.
now, did you see the details of what the obscenity charges were?
I know that there was a sting and that federal agents in Pittsburgh had purchased materials which depicted scenes of R word, urination, and murder.
Right, but I don't really think that was the issue. It was the fact that they were distributing them through U.S. mail, which is a federal offense.
Oh, okay.
So they were shipping their products through the U.S. mail, which is illegal.
Look, I mean, if we can get
I,
it, I don't want to have a whole political thing here.
right.
It's like it is a First Amendment question, right? We're not going to get into.
No. I mean, no. It wasn't. It was the fact that they were sending obscenity through the U.S. government.
Well,
postal service.
yeah, but at the same
If they
time,
did
it's
it
like
through
what is
UPS?
the
Well, I know, but
limits of
that's
what you're allowed to send and with consent?
right. Right, but I think in general, if you ordered pornography from, I don't know where you would even order
I
stuff
mean,
like that
we
these
know there
days,
were
but
porn stores all over, right? Back in the day, you had to go
right,
to your little
but
shop before, like back in the '90s. You had to go. This is pre-internet stuff. You had to go to your little store. So maybe it is. You could not send that stuff over mail. That's very possible that was
you
the
could, but
case,
you'd have to use UPS or FedEx,
but not through federal
the
mail.
U.S. Postal Service. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So he
So
basically, was very brazen about it, and he got caught, and him and Lizzie, I think, both served jail time.
so the trial really fucked up the whole financial operation because, well, as we know, trials are very expensive, especially a trial on the scale such as this. I mean, so the two they couldn't subsidize XPW at that point, right? They couldn't give money anymore to this company. And the promotion went out of business. Extreme Entertainment Group, which would split into two companies later. Sorry, there's a lot here. The company of which former XPW employee Kevin Kleinrock would later become EVP of XEG purchased the rights to the XPW name under license in 2004. So they probably got that for a cheap amount. And as you said, both Rob Black and Lizzie Borden did do a year in prison.
Yeah, and Kevin Kleinrock's a guy who was kind of, Rob Black's right-hand man, but not in a sense where he was he just was like his gopher, and like he would come up with a lot of the booking and concepts, and was more of the wrestling mind in terms of
He
like,
wasn't just a yes guy. He actually was like a
yeah,
creative type.
exactly. And to this day, I think he's still doing stuff with in wrestling. I want to say he does a lot of the Lucha Republic stuff, and maybe has done stuff
Okay.
to release figures and stuff. So he's, there's some people that
Still based
came
in
out of this.
SoCal?
I believe so. I am not 100% sure, but I believe so.
Possibly. Yeah.
And also to kind of, the origins of XPW are also tied to a school that was in the valley called Slammers.
Okay.
And
It's a wrestling school?
yeah, and there was a trainer there. I can't remember who it was, but there was another kind of key figure in XPW was Dynamite D,
Okay.
who he passed away like midway through the company, so he was another guy that was kind of notable as well.
Okay.
And just to kind of take you through these events, they used to have all these events on YouTube, but they're not like when I went to Rapture and Dynamite, Damage Inc. They were all on YouTube until about a few years ago, fairly recently. And you can see my dumb ass in the front row with my Dan Marino jersey on. You'd have Rob Black come out and just use all types of slurs, racial slurs, describing Mexicans and stuff, Mexican people and Hispanic people. And
When it was
done as heel heat.
when it was funny, or back then.
No, but he was a heel.
Okay.
But the matches, there was scantily clad women, and I remember even going to for a deathmatch tournament. Was Supreme's another guy to mention too. He was the deathmatch king guy, and he was actually Joey Chaos's uncle.
Okay.
And
Cool.
he passed away a few years ago too. So there was like kind of that whole element there. And also, if you guys want more information, I invite you to check it out too. Chris Kloss did do a series on YouTube where he interviewed probably about 7 or 8 people. Chaos. I even think he got Rob Black for an episode too, if you want to see
Cool.
him.
I saw one of his old interviews that was, with that George guy, Wally George. So that was what I saw.
Chris Kloss?
Yeah.
Well, that was when he was a guest. But
yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It was a really old episode.
In the past 2 to 3 years, he had the Messiah on. So this is another. So at one point in real life, Messiah was having an affair with Lizzie Borden.
Oh, great.
And Rob Black found out. This is insane. This was on the. And allegedly, one day, the Messiah gets home, and there's these dudes there, and they chop off his thumb.
What the fuck?
And this was like a real life thing.
Holy shit.
No, this was legit. And the rumor is that Rob Black sent those guys over because he was pissed about him cheating with Lizzie Borden. So this is where we're getting into some of the kind of... it was more than just some porn dude. That was, and... this is all alleged stuff. I don't know, but that's always been kind of... This is part of the notoriety of XPW is this stuff happening.
You guys want to learn more about this, go look it up. I see so many videos called The Wrestler Whose Thumb Was Chopped Off. And you see a lot of videos with his hand up, with his thumb missing. And it's a very clean cut to very shady Yakuza-style cut.
And he goes into detail on it on that interview with Chris Kloss, and probably in the Dark Side of the Ring. And the amazing thing about it is the guy just kind of, he's married, has kids now, the Messiah, and that's not his real name.
No, but he could wrestle at one time. But do you know what wrestling he could never be good at?
Thumb.
Anyways, keep going.
All right. Anyways, and he's got a wife, 2 kids, and he's just kind of like, I've moved on. I'm no animosity towards anybody. Like, pretty admirable that he's just kind of put it behind him and everything. But, that was a big deal back then because the whole rumor was, oh my God, Rob Black had, sent some dudes over to
That's
his
pretty
house.
shady, man.
So that's what made this shady. And if you go back and watch, I know the TV show episodes are probably up there on YouTube too somewhere. Um, I mean, they were like a Howard Stern show turned up to 10. So
Yeah.
definitely they don't age well.
As a lot of Howard Stern does not age well.
As a lot of Howard Stern does not, of course. There were stuff that maybe we're all different people from back then. I don't think Rob Black is too much of a different person from back then, from what I've seen. Because from what I understand about the newest product is they have a basically Make America MAGA group with Jasmine St. Clair and the Necro Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
We did have... Look, XPW did have a couple comebacks later in the years.
Right.
There was...
They had a reunion show in '08, but I don't know if Rob Black was involved in that one.
I don't know if Rob Black was involved in that, actually. I'm not seeing it here. In '08, they were at Aviation Park in Redondo Beach.
Yeah.
Including on that show is He Who Must Not Be Named, Disco Machine, some people, New Jack was in there, Jack Evans, Scorpio Sky was on that.
And I think that was more, and Excalibur maybe was involved at some point too. That was more of a Kevin Kleinrock thing, I think.
Looking at it, it kind of looks like that.
It was funny because when I worked at the newspaper at the time, and someone that I went to junior college with, there was a photographer. His name is Shane Kidder, great guy, and he was a big time wrestling photographer in SoCal. In around that time, up until the the tens, taking a lot of pictures of. He has some pictures from the old New Japan Dojo, Inoki Dojo.
Wow.
On his albums and stuff, and he was always taking all the NWA stuff, and he has a really good relationship with I don't know if we talked about Dave Marquez at all.
Yeah, Dave Marquez. Oh, I don't know. I know him from that NWA stint that he did, but I know Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Right, but he's good friends with Dave Marquez and was always involved with whatever they're doing out here in the Zeros. And Dave Marquez was involved in the New Japan Dojo, I think, at the time too, in the Zeros.
Now, who is the hardcore homo Angel?
Okay, so yeah, that was Angel. They had some unique characters. I don't know if that's what he identified or whatever, but he also, I've heard, he was actually, Chris Kloss had him on too. Have you heard of Lucha Vavoom?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, so Lucha Vavoom is something that runs downtown LA. It's like a burlesque show / wrestling. And I think he does some kind of gimmick for them now, but he's not that character anymore. He plays like, I can't remember. I think his name is Dirty Sanchez or something.
Of course it is.
And he's got like a mask with a mustache and everything. He's completely different.
Yeah.
Than that character. But Lucha Vavoom, there's been a lot of Colt Cabana goes through there as Matt Classic sometimes.
Okay.
Peter Avalon and Ray Rosas go through there sometimes and do some kind of characters.
Sweet. It's and like everyone plays their character.
Sort of, but it's more of it's a burlesque show / kind of wrestling show, but it's more for like kind of high everybody goes to that. It's not like just for wrestling.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing to go to.
So that's what I think Angel does now. But yes, he was a character, and he was a wrestler, very flamboyant as you could imagine.
Sounds a little bit like an Exotico from Mexico. Not that
very much so. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
Not that weird. All things considered. Talking about the one thing you said that was a stain is the revival. And they did do a couple extra. They did one in 2009. They did Perros del Mal versus XPW in 2011, but the revival came recently. Now, I got to tell you, this is the funny thing. So I heard that Rob Black owned a burger spot, right? Okay.
I think I've heard that, yeah, in Rochester, yeah.
It's called American Burger. And so I Googled it, and I found the Facebook page, and the Facebook page is nothing but XPW advertisements now. Like all these wrestlers I've never heard of. You know what I mean? It's like, come check out XP. So I don't know what's going on with him, but it's not a good look. Not a good business look at all when your burger shop is running your wrestling ads, you know?
Unless the burger shop's gone out of business, I don't know.
It's very, very possible. During the summer of 2021, Rob Black announced on Instagram and Twitter his plans to relaunch XPW, the first ever revived XPW Rebirth, streamed on Fight TV from the Main Street Armory in Rochester, and he's back home, I guess. And 8 wrestlers competed in a single elimination tournament, and it was won by Brian Cage. They did an event called California at Pomona in April 2022. So, you know, they had Taya Valkyrie there. Is that the only good name? It's about it. So
I want to say that TJP did one. I want to say that Marty Skrull was brought in at some point.
Very possible. Yeah. I'm getting a little tired here. But, yeah, we'll see. It says the series was revived. Okay, that's Fight TV. So with Fight TV. Now they're saying they got off of Fight TV and they're on the XPW streaming service. So,
that's where all those things disappeared too that were on.
I think so, yeah. XPW streaming service. So, I guess we end this one with a bit of a, hey, let's see what happens, but also at the same time, nothing crazy is probably going to happen. And what we talked about is probably the most important parts of XPW, right?
Yeah,
most likely.
And I think we did a good job of kind of explaining what it was. If you want more details, there's a lot more research you can do. And Chris Kloss's stuff on YouTube, I believe it's called the Wrestling Chatter channel or something. I don't know if he still has those videos up, but definitely check those out if you're interested more in what this... Let me see if I can find some of these.
I'm at Wrestling Chatter right here. That's from Rohit. It's an Indian gentleman that runs Wrestling Chatter. Wrestle Chatter.
Is it?
Yeah. So.
Maybe
yeah.
It's something else. You know what? I think it's something different. It's something different then. Let me see what I know. Unless they, I know I subscribed to it at some point.
Well, I was gonna say you can let me know, and we will post it in the show notes.
Wow, maybe it's gone.
Very well might be.
Wow. Because during the pandemic, I was
You were watching it a lot.
Month. Yeah, it was one of the things that the Wrestling Chatter. There you go.
You found it?
Yeah, it's the Wrestling Chatter. It's called. Oh yeah, here you go. XPW Memories with Chris Kloss.
Okay, the Wrestling Chatter. The Wrestling Chatter.
He even goes to the Reseda Country Club in its current and just kind of tours it and talks about it.
There we go. We got Barry Horowitz, Chakra Joe, Eugene Dinsmore.
There you go. He's
Nick Dinsmore.
I'm sorry, Willie Mack. He talked.
There you go. Love Willie Mack. I got to see him.
He's got the Necro Butcher from 1 year ago. He interviewed the Necro Butcher, Matt Cross. He
looks like a ripoff of Stone Cold. Okay, I'll watch it.
Rob Black.
I like Willie Mack too. I saw him go against Takeshita in L.A.
Pitbull.
Great match.
Yeah,
great match. I'm feeling
Jasmine St. Clair.
All right, bro.
He had a lot of the guys from the early video. Pogo the Clown. There's another one too.
I'm feeling a little tired, bro. So I think we're gonna get out of here. This sounds awesome, though. Check out that. Also, check out Maven Huffman's YouTube as well, because that is a real great. Have you seen anything from him yet?
I think I heard some type of thing about it. What
it's just a good.
What's his deal these days?
He was only in WWE for like 5 or 6 years, but his videos are great.
Well, I know Maven.
Yeah, his videos are great. He's got how wrestlers get paid, goes into detail with stacks of money, like how we got paid. how I got and used steroids in the WWE, all that
Right,
stuff.
okay.
Why I got fired because he didn't go and practice in the ring every time the ring was done setting up. He didn't go practice, and he got fired for that. So, some very interesting stuff there. So go check out, again, the Wrestling Chatter. Check out your history on Raw Black and XPW. But check out Maven Huffman. But most importantly, check out Wrestling And. We have a whole back catalog of talking about all different topics. We've talked about wrestling and drug abuse. We've talked about wrestling and sex. And today we talked about wrestling XPW. And we did a Wrestling and ECW episode. So if you want to know the counterpoint to XPW, that East Coast ECW, go check that out too. So anything else, Justin?
No, that's it. This is kind of your little starter kit if you're interested in XPW. We left you with a lot to do.
I'm very interested now. I'm going to go check out some stuff, see what crazy matches I can find. So thank you, Justin, and thank you guys for listening, and we will see you later.